Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. It is Wellness Wednesday, and y'all know what that means. It's time for Boss Talk. So here we go. That's right, y'all. It's time for Boss Talk with Sean LeRae. So take a moment and send out the link because you want to get your people in here. This is going to be a great conversation with a great man, an amazing doctor. And this is Men's Health Month, so this is especially important. So call your brother, call your uncle, call Pookie Nim, call everybody. Get them in here because we need to have these conversations. Sometimes we talk about everything else, but we ignore the really difficult conversations. And sometimes our health can be a difficult conversation. So tonight we are going to talk to the people's doctor. So just take a moment, copy, paste that link and send it out, text it out, email it out, put it on your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your YouTube, send it out, y'all. Let's get the people up in here. So I'll take a moment. And while we do that, I want to know where you are. So let me know where you are tuning in from. Please let me know if you are in LA. Do we have anybody here from somewhere else? Anybody outside California? Holla at your girl. Let me know where you at. Where you at? Hello there. Looking forward to hearing what the doctor has to say. Absolutely, honey. That's my husband, y'all. William Kirby Seals. Thanks for tuning in, babe. So did you send out the link, honey? If you haven't, go ahead and do that now. So I think it's important that we recognize Men's Health Month. We just had Father's Day. And so it's important that we take care of our men because so much of the time the focus is on women's health and women's wellness. And though women do so much and do not spend enough time often taking care of their own health, it's still our fellas never like to go to the doctor. They never like to go get checked out. They will do any and everything to keep from going to the doctor. And so sometimes, ladies, we have to be a stand for our men's wellness. And it's just love. That's what it is. It's just love. Hey, Gigi, what's up, sis? She says Los Angeles area. Glad to be able to join today. Me too. Glad to have you over here, girl. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I know you sent the link out, Gigi. That's just what you do. I love you for that. Thank you. So let's give it another minute or two, get some folks up in here. Y'all know this is Wellness Wednesday, and it's important that we take just a few minutes always and just check in with our bodies. But because we have a doctor in the house, we'll just wait till he comes on and we'll do that together with him, right? So I guess you guys have been sending out the link. Let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know if you're a first time boss talker here, because we love to have new people in. And if this is your first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell so that when we go live, you'll get a ding and you'll know and you'll be able to tune in and join us. And again, send it out and get some more folks up in here. So I want to tell you about my guest tonight. So tonight we have Dr. Vincent Anthony. And Dr. Anthony is board certified in internal medicine and nephrology and has committed himself to building a streamlined operations process in order to provide high quality and efficient patient care. Now, while he has deep expertise in other areas of medicine, such as hypertension and diabetes, Dr. Anthony is passionate about bringing a greater awareness to individuals on how critically important kidney function is to our overall health. So, y'all, boss talkers, without another word from me, please welcome to Boss Talk, Dr. Vincent Anthony.
Hey, Sean Ray, how you doing?
Excellent indeed. How are you, sir?
Good. Doing well, doing well.
Good,
Excited
good.
to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. So, Dr. Anthony, I'll take these off so I can see you better. So, one of the things that I love to do on Boss Talk is let my guests know, or let my audience know how I met my guests. And so I always have funny ways of meeting people, or just like convoluted connecting. And so you and I met for the first time after we had spoken on the phone and via text. When I was referred to Dr. Anthony by one of my BWN sisters, who, when I called her and said, I need a doctor. Do you know a doctor? Can we get a doctor in the house? And we were celebrating Men's Health Month through the Black Women's Network. And she said, I saw this amazing doctor, and he spoke really well at the KJLH Women's Health Fair, or was it Health Expo, right?
Yes.
And so that is, I think, even like a week or 2 weeks later, right? You were at the Black Women's Network Saturday meetup.
That's right. That was a wonderful time too. I love teaching this stuff, and you guys were very receptive, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, we loved your energy and your passion about it. That is always something that I look for, because I love when people love what they do. I believe that helps you to do it well. And it was very apparent to all of us in the room, men and women, were just like, wow, he loves this so much. He has such great passion. And you are and were that day to all of us such a wealth of information, which is also very important, very important. So let's see who's out here. Show me howdy. That's Sharon. She says, that's my preceptor. Absolutely. I am a preceptor. Do you know what that is, Doc?
No. What's
that? I didn't know really what it was. And I had been asked to be a preceptor a couple of years ago. And I said, I can't do that. But that young lady there, Sharon, she is a nurse practitioner, a psychiatric nurse practitioner student.
Got it.
So because I train mental health professionals in my office, in my nonprofit, she reached out to me to do her preceptorship with me, which is when she's doing her psychotherapy part of her journey to become a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And so I'm very excited to have you on tonight. Thank you. And I'm really excited that she helped me open up that area of my practice, because I love to give back in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's something that you are committed to doing as well, giving back in the community. And we named the show today, The People's Doctor, Helping Communities Thrive. So Gigi's welcoming you. So tell me, how did you get started? Like, did you always know growing up, I want to be a doctor when I grow up?
If you don't mind me telling a little story.
Oh, please tell stories. I love it.
It might embarrass my dad a little bit, but I was in second grade, right? And I got sick or something at school, and he was a college professor, so it was his job to kind of come get me to go to the house. And so when we got home, he still had work to do, but I still wasn't feeling well. So he puts this medical encyclopedia in front of me and says, "Here, look at that." And so I started drawing all kinds of pictures of the heart and the lungs and all of that stuff. If you recall, there's an encyclopedia that has clear pages that you turn back the skin, then you turn back the muscles, then you turn back. So that's what I was doing. So for several hours, I was quiet. But then after I finished drawing, I started asking him questions again. And finally, at one of the questions, he said, "Well, I don't know how that works. Only doctors know how that works." And I was like, "All right, well, that's what I'm going to do." Because I just wanted to know how it worked. I wanted to know how the body worked. I was fascinated by the human body. And so at 7 years old, 7 or 8, somewhere in there, I decided I was going to be a doctor. And I really did not want to see patients, believe it or not. I just wanted to know how the body worked. And then I wanted to be this great scientist and this kind of thing. But I just gravitated towards people because I love people in general. And I was good at it. And so I just kept going with medical school. Well, actually with the School of Public Health first. And then I went to medical school and continued through medical school to residency and then fellowship. And then after working for a little while, even, I saw a need to change how the system works for people, particularly. And so I went and got an MBA so I could learn the business aspects of things so that I could have a full court press on this healthcare system to make it work for our communities, which it does only partially. There's a big inequity in minority communities, particularly the Black community.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things that I'm tasked with. My parents were big on giving back, and so that's just instilled in me. So that's really how I got started on this quest of medicine and what I'm going to do with medicine in terms of the uplift of our community. For real.
I love that. So William says, "I do remember that encyclopedia with the clear illustrations." Yeah, me too. When you mentioned it, I hadn't thought about it in years, but yes, absolutely. And hello, Johnny Anthony from Jackson, Mississippi.
That's my dad. That's what I just
That's Dad? Yeah. Hello, Dad. So you had quite a boy on your hands, I know, huh? Well, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. Well, listen, I love that story, and I love how you stuck with it all these years. And I also love how you did it in such a nuanced way. Like you saw the need and you said, let me learn this. Let me learn that. And I think I've done a little bit of the same with mental health, only I had a much later journey. I didn't even know what a therapist was when I was 7 years old. And I was always an attorney. Right. And instead, I'm a proud law school dropout. So
that's all right. That's all right. God has his own plan,
Absolutely, via music and acting and theater and dance and and then, so I went back at the ripe old age of 50 to get my master's to become a therapist.
That's awesome.
And I think it's, you see the need and you feel it, and then you go and find out what the next thing is that you need to do to be able to do that. And the more you immerse yourself in it, the more needs you recognize. Correct. So tell us a little bit about how the idea of having this business degree as well as this medical degree and public health too, right?
Correct.
Wow. You're bad as I am.
I love learning. Both my parents were teachers.
They both were teachers.
Yeah. What do I go do?
Okay. I love that. I love it. People ask me, are you gonna go to school again?
That's about right.
Sure am.
That's about right.
Sure am. I love it. So when did you see that, okay, I love this medicine thing, but I need to know about the business? What was the thing that sparked that for you?
The thing that sparked it for me was the immense disparity in healthcare in general, from the bedside all the way to what we know socially to be healthcare disparities. Mm-hmm. And so when you start looking at healthcare disparities, one of the things that I always say is that we look at disparities in isolation. So we look at sociopolitics in isolation. We look at socioeconomics in isolation. And we try to attack the problems on those different fronts. But healthcare, if you look at it, is really a social problem. The disparity that's there is really a socioeconomic problem. It's a socio-political problem, meaning how do we get policies that impact communities of color, number one, but also those who have less money in this country, in this very capitalistic country that we live in. And coming from the School of Public Health, I actually look at medicine differently. I look at it from the standpoint of what happens globally to this particular population, and how does this individual that's in front of me as a doctor fit into that population, right? So I'm looking at it very broadly, but also very specifically at the same time. And so once I realized that these, the socioeconomic inequity and the socio-political inequity exists, which in turn leads to healthcare inequity, I wanted to learn more about how the system worked. I knew a little bit from the School of Public Health, and having that training really taught me about the public health system. But how does the business system figure into that? How does the insurance system figure into that?
Ooh, that part.
How does the political system figure into that? Because there are a lot of laws and things out there that still don't really work well for certain patient populations, right? It's in certain regulations. So I wanted to learn all of that in order to put it in one big framework to say, okay, we're going to eliminate all of these disparities by attacking all of them at the same time. And what better way to do that than to create a healthcare system yourself? And that's the reason I went into that.
I love that. So when you thought, I'll create a healthcare system, what were some of the first things? I know the disparities, right? But what was the number one thing that you wanted to make sure people could feel, and that was going to be different when they were going to come to your community, say community clinic or community system?
Well, one of the things that I like to use, one of the terms that I use is cultural relevance. Okay. I don't like cultural sensitivity. I don't like that term. And the reason I don't like the term is because it's a very superficial term. You see a Black or brown or Asian or a white person in front of you, and you have to be sensitive to their needs because they come from a certain group, right? Without yourself trying to be racist. Okay. It's very difficult for us to be racist because that's a power thing, and we all know that. But I'm not going to get political on your show. I promise I wouldn't, and I'm not. Okay. So really, cultural relevance means I have to take a deep dive into this person's background, the foods they eat, what their cultural norms are, what their historic background is, meaning their cultural history inside of where I am, as best as I can know it, so I can really get to better know this person by then having a frank and open conversation with them. So for me, when people come to my office, I'm trying to delve into that. So, when they come to my office, sometimes I'm a little jovial, but I do that to break the ice. It's who I am, number one, but it also serves as a great icebreaker so people are more relaxed and we can have open and frank conversation about their health and what that means for them inside their life. Because I always tell my patients, you need to listen to me, and I need to listen to you rather, so that I can understand what your life is about, right? Because I got to treat your disease inside your life. I don't want you to change your life for this disease. Right. It should not be that way. And so that's how I got into this, really wanting to address each person that way. And that's how we built the business. Now, yeah. So if I may, 35% of all dialysis patients are Black. And that's that's a significant percentage when you consider 13% of us are in the country.
Yeah, that
So
is.
there's something to that, right? And when you start really looking at it, a lot of it has to do with access early on. Access early on. And so you have to look at cultural norms, cultural relevances, and quite frankly, in the LA area, if you go to the regulatory bodies and there are unincorporated areas, those unincorporated areas have a higher risk or rate of having food deserts and things like that. So the regulations and how they drew up the maps actually play a large role in health. And we have good studies on that as well. So I'm sure.
No, it's great. I love it. I love your passion. So when I think about what you said, cultural relevance, that makes so much sense, because in the therapeutic community, one of the things that they teach you in school is it used to be cultural competence.
Right.
And as I was in that entity, in that system, and learning and then coming out and working, I realized that cultural competence was not enough.
That's right.
Because you cannot really be competent in something that is not, that you don't know, and that you don't know deeply, right? Because I'm competent as a therapist because I know psychology deeply.
Right.
But if you are not a Black woman, and I am not an Asian woman, and I am not a Latino woman, and all that, I can't know deeply about them and about their norms, their cultures, their feelings, like all of that, and what their experience is. And so later, after, Black Lives Matter and a whole lot of other stuff, they came back with, okay, how about this one? Cultural humility. Now that I like, because then, we always say that the patient is the expert, that the person who comes in is the expert of their own life. And we are here to come alongside them and use the tools that we have to help them navigate that through their own lens, right? And so now, if I am coming with you and I am humble enough to say, I don't know what that's like, can you tell me more? That's very different than me coming in there culturally competent and then saying, well, what is it like to believe? You know what I mean? What is it like to be a Black woman? And that, it's just like, I really don't have the capacity to understand that on the level that you understand that. And I want to hear more about that. And so
I love that.
I was like screaming this from the top of my lungs, being the first Black president of the San Fernando Valley, California Association of Marriage Family Therapists, SFCAFT, and doing a training entitled What Every Therapist Needs to Know About Black Folks and Other People of Color. Because everybody that was coming in there wasn't tackling the issues, they were dancing around it. But if we don't get down and dirty with it,
then
how are we going to change it? So I love the perspective that you have, cultural relevance, because even when looking at that, it's like, what is relevant to me? And can you know that as a healthcare professional, when you walk in the room to start to talk to me, where to even begin the conversation?
That's right.
So I really love that. I love that so much. And it's so, I like that you're talking about a socioeconomic, socio-political, social, what was the other one?
No, that's the triangle.
That's it? Okay.
That's the triangle.
Social, political, and
healthcare inequity.
Healthcare inequity. Yep. Got it. In that whole, like that. Yes.
That's the triangle. Yeah.
Oh, now here's a wonderful blast from the past. Hello, Tennille. How are you? She says, yes, straight to the facts. Absolutely, my sister. She is an amazing licensed marriage family therapist. And when I knew her, she was working at the same place that I was, and she started her journey there. So good to see you, darling. So I think that when you, package it, right? Package it in the way that you package it. Now, how do you deliver that? Because I know that there's you. So how do you bring this beyond yourself?
So the business we've created is specifically for dialysis patients, right? And so because we have a niche market, and it's a different market that's ever been done in the United States of America, where the kidney doctor is the primary care doctor for these patients. So because there's a primary care connection to a dialysis patient, and, you know, for lack of a better term, they're a captured audience, we actually get to spend more time with these folks and actually get into the cultural relevance pieces of this. And that is having a simple conversation. And so once you have that simple conversation, then you can organize your operational structure. And I'm going to digress into some business terminology. Yeah. So any business has a certain operational structure. It's either automated, or it's customized, or it's a hybrid system, which means that automated means that you really don't need any customer contact. You can put everything on a conveyor belt and it produces a widget that the masses of people will get. Well, service businesses, obviously by their nature, cannot be a totally automated business, right? And then you have the customized part. That's where you need high levels of customer contact. You need high levels of interaction with that customer or patient in our world, right? Now, the problem is that highly customized operations models are wasteful, okay? They're very wasteful. So what do straight business people do? They try to take everything and swing the pendulum all the way back to automation. That doesn't work spiritually for a human being, right? And it does not work for the work that we do. And we have to be in front of patients, figure out right then and there which direction we're going to go in terms of their therapy. So it has to be a hybrid system. And that hybrid system has to exist inside of a regulatory system. So we're very keenly aware of that. That regulatory system, in turn, has to be involved in a legal system that is around that regulatory system, like malpractice law and that kind of stuff that we have to deal with. So we create our operations with the doctor-patient relationship in mind, and we figure out what's good waste and what's bad waste for each individual patient. So we automate some things, like if you're in managed care, which is the population that we're starting to care for first, you have to get an authorization to go get this test, get this, get the other. So what we've done is, for the dialysis patient, there are some things that dialysis patients cannot wait on. So we automate those. We say, you know what, if a dialysis patient needs this, they got it. There's no authorization needed, no process, no wait time, no nothing, right? But then there are other things that are very key to what's going on with that individual at that time. And we actually figure that into our operations processes. So we've married business process with clinical process, with human spirituality and human connection.
Ooh, I love that.
That's what makes the business work. And the interesting thing is, it's so new that health plans don't look at it. Let me tell you why. Because they already lose a lot of money on the dialysis patient population. And so back in 2016, the Obama administration passed the 21st Century Cures Act, which now says that dialysis patients can be on managed care. Why is that important? Because a lot of times in managed care, the services are expanded for these dialysis patients. Something as simple as getting dental care can be life or death for a dialysis patient. And I can explain that on another show or whatever, but it can be life or death. So the issue is, we have to have these things in place to make sure that these dialysis patients are cared for well. So the health plans then lose money on dialysis patients because the model is wrong. They think that simply having someone at the health plan contact the dialysis member and make sure they're taking their medicines and all these things, that's going to lead to true quality, not this checkbox quality of, oh, the numbers are good, but is the patient really well? Because just because you have an illness or a disease doesn't mean you don't have a wellness mindset. So we give that to our patients through the processes that we have. And so we automate some of it, like I said, and we customize the rest of it. So we actually can save the health plan's money, at the same time raising true quality in the patient by focusing on the doctor-patient relationship and the patient right at that chair in the dialysis center. So that's what we're taking this model then, and all the money that we save economically can be put back in prevention programs in our communities, can be put back into rebuilding some of the stuff that's broken in our communities. Because let me tell you, dialysis is a big business. But if you got people like us who will take some of that, make sure our patients are good, but take some of that money and put it back into community, do you know what could happen with community? The dialysis industry is a multi-billion-dollar business. I think it's going to go up to like $40 billion by 2030. So there's lots of money to be made there that can be put back upstream to prevent other people from getting to dialysis. And the dialysis patient population is only growing. And it's because of diabetes, high blood pressure, APOL1 disease, we know in African Americans, HIV causes kidney disease. And that's on the rise in our community quietly. Drug use is on the rise because of the things that you deal with. You understand? Drug use is on the rise. That leads directly to kidney disease. Lupus. All these different conditions lead to kidney disease that are seen in the Black and brown communities particularly, but other communities as well. So we target those highest at risk with our business right now.
Now, I want to ask if now I know that there are hereditary components to some of these things that we've talked about. Hypertension, diabetes, those kinds of things are hereditary, right? And I do that because I often wonder, is it hereditary as in it's in the DNA type of a hereditary, or is it hereditary in that it is in lifestyle choices, cultural choices? And when I say choices, I also have to do some air quotes, because we know that some of the appetite for some of the foods that are prevalent and popular in African American culture was given to us.
Stop talking about chitlins. Stop talking about chitlins.
Right, okay, all the way back there. And like, it wasn't like, let me eat this. It was like, let me eat something.
Yes.
So when you track it back to slavery, because our grandmothers and our ancestors could make an old shoe taste good, they managed to find ways to make it taste good, and then pass it down. And so now here we are with this global health epidemic in our culture. So talk a little bit about that, Doc.
Well, listen, this is why I love talking to you. You go right for the jugular, and that's what it is. But here's the thing: we've got to have these kind of conversations. We've got to have them. So I agree with you. Some of them we have genes for. Others of them are just culturally passed down things that just our taste buds are geared towards certain things. And that's why I say food, I tell each one of my patients, food is cultural and spiritual, right? Yes. It makes you belong to a group that you identify with. That's part of what this is all about in terms of cultural relevance that we speak of, right? So if we take, and I mentioned this at the talk that I gave to you guys earlier in the month, it's a plausible theory, but we would never be able to prove it. So hypertension being high in African Americans, someone came up with the theory or hypothesis, I should say, which we will never be able to test, that salt sensitivity, meaning when an African American eats salt, their blood pressure goes up more than other cultures that eat the same amount of salt at that time. It was kind of self-selected because salt allows you to retain water. And if you can retain salt in your body, you can retain water. But Think about what a slave ship was like.
Mm-hmm.
There was dysentery, there was sickness, there was illness, and those, God rest their souls, we honored them on Juneteenth, but they were pushed overboard when they passed on board, and some of us leapt overboard to not be a slave ever. But those of us who could retain salt on that voyage maintained hydration and therefore could make the entire journey.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So naturally, if we eat salt, we're able to hold on to water, and water and salt raises blood pressure. So that's one plausible, it's an old hypothesis, but we'll never be able to prove it. But biochemically and physiologically, it does have a lot of merit.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going with that.
Yeah.
I'm 100% going with that because epigenetics,
Mm-hmm.
when we look at the study of the mouse who,
that's right.
I think, do you know who Dr. Anita, I think it's Anita Phillips is?
No, I don't.
Google her. She's a psychologist, and I forget how I heard of her. She has a podcast, and I won't be able to think of the name of it right now, but I will look and I'll let you know, and I'll let all of y'all know. But she talked about this study, and I had heard about it before, but they, and I won't do it justice, but I'm gonna try. There was a study where they exposed some mice to, I don't know if it was cherry blossoms, whatever the smell was. There was a smell. They were hypersensitive to it. When they had the smell, they beat them or something along those lines, right? And so they were hypersensitive to this smell. That generation went, they put the next generation in, and without the beating, they put the smell there, and they were, they were in fear. They had whatever reaction, generation after generation. And then they took the mothers who were not of the same bloodline and put them there, and the same thing happened because why? They had been in connection with the fathers. And so it just blew my mind that is what happens. And then we talk about post-slavery syndrome, and you put it all together, mix it up, put a cherry on top, and there you have it, Trauma Sunday. And so it's like all of these things, and of course they're not going to give any credence to it, because you started
this. Here we go. Where's my kufi?
You started this. I don't know where my husband is, because by now I know he would have said something. But it's like they try to erase all that truth.
Correct.
Pour water on that truth and dilute it. And so it's like, no, this is real talk, and we need to talk about it amongst ourselves, because nobody else is going to talk about it, because we are dying at way too rapid of rates for things that diseases and illnesses and conditions that can be reversed. And if we change that starting now, then we help generations to come, because it's too late for you and me. Okay. I remember at 25 years old, a dancer, an aerobics instructor, a gymnast, and I hurt my ankle on the campaign trail. I was working for an attorney who was running for city council, and I jumped down off of something like a nut and rolled my ankle and went to the hospital with this great big old fat ankle, and they took my blood pressure, and they immediately stopped treating my ankle and started treating my blood pressure. And it was over 200, over 100. I was 25, fit as a fiddle, no fat on my body, but I had high blood pressure. And so that never has made any sense to me. And at the time I was a non-meat eater, eating vegetables, all of that. And so I know that there is something to this, because nothing else makes sense. And for me, I'm like a make it make sense girl. I need to see. Why is it that? And so I'm so happy for the work that you're doing.
Well, that's one of the things that we talk about when we talk about actual genes, because in African Americans, 52% of us have a gene or an allele of a gene. An allele is two pairs that create the gene. Okay, to make it simple. But what that gene is ApoL1. Apolipoprotein 1, okay? And we have it because of a protection we got from the motherland, right? And if increased inflammation turns that gene on, then we are at higher propensity to get kidney failure. High blood pressure causes kidney failure, all right, or chronic kidney disease, but also chronic kidney disease causes hypertension. So anybody that's young, below 30 is my cutoff, that comes into my office with high blood pressure, you best believe I'm looking for every secondary cause of high blood pressure I can find, and I start with the kidney, right? Because the kidney is responsible for long-term control of blood pressure. There is a sub-organ in the kidney called the juxtaglomerular apparatus. You don't have to remember that. But it is responsible for sensing salt passing by and telling blood vessels and stuff what to do. That's a simple explanation. There's much more to it than that, but that's how I explain it to my lay public. And I want to dovetail on something that you were talking about. And I'm so glad you brought it up, because this psychological stress is not psychological. It's a real stress. Any stress is a fight or flight response that causes increased adrenaline, that causes increased vascular reactivity, that causes increased nervous reactivity, and changes chemistry structure in the brain. We know this.
Yes, indeed.
So post-traumatic slave syndrome is a real deal. That's the cultural competence that we have to work from. And it's not just, we're talking Black culture, but it's not just our culture either. So when you have a patient who is from another culture, you have to look at what they went through in their historic progress towards now and into the future. Ours has just been very, very traumatic, because there's nothing like chattel slavery. I don't care what anybody says. There was nothing like chattel slavery, and there was nothing like the murdering of hundreds of millions of folks over time.
Absolutely.
Hundreds of millions.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to get any deeper than that, because I could go somewhere with that, but I'm not. Okay, but you get what I'm saying.
I know exactly where we're at here. I know exactly where we're at.
So my issue is that as Black folk and a lot of our Latin brothers and sisters, I hate to burst the bubble, but some of y'all Black too, based on where we got dropped off at, right? So those physiologic connections and those psychologic and cultural connections that come from that era actually trigger physiologic propensities in us that other cultures don't have. And it has to be addressed. It doesn't have to be addressed directly, because a lot of times I put people aback when I sit by the door. I put people aback. So I have to calm it down, and laughter is one of those things that allows me to do that and get in there and really figure out who this person is, and make sure that if they have a condition that they can't eat greens anymore, but they grew up in Mississippi where I'm from, I'm gonna get shot.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing that's about to go down.
So I have to understand how I negotiate that.
Absolutely.
In the realm of that, but also in the realm of that connects them to community. Community disperses some of that stress that we're talking about. So when you're on an island as an individual, and so I'm all for the tough ones of us who were the only Black in the class and that kind of stuff. That's cool, but you got to find some connection culturally. Otherwise, you're on an island and your stress levels are nuts. And so that blood pressure, the diabetes is out of control, cortisol gets released, so your blood sugar's out of control, adrenaline's everything's out of control.
Out of control.
And you get sick.
Oh, I love this so much. You're going to have to do a part 2. I just knew it. So one of my sisters and therapy sisters is out here, Tan Moore. She says, stress is the real killer. Would you say that managing stress is the first step to reversing most physical dis-ease?
Now, I'm a physical doctor, so I'm going to say no. But I'm joking. It has to be done hand in hand. And that's the reason for developing business systems that understand that. Once you understand the human that's in front of you, the business system creation is easy. It's easy. It's when you are so focused on lowering costs that you don't recognize that you have to have a hybrid system. So you're going to have to identify good waste, good cost waste, and bad waste. I'm sorry, good waste and bad waste. Okay. In terms of financially speaking, because you can never eliminate waste in a human being. You can never eliminate if you're connecting with your patient, you can never eliminate all of that waste. There's no way. So you have to determine what's good and what's bad. Like, just to give you a for instance, if I'm treating blood pressure, do I treat with 3 medicines at low doses, or 1 medicine at a very high dose, and the patient gets a side effect and goes to the hospital? It saves money on the front end because you're not paying for 3 medicines, right? But on the back end, now you've paid 10, sometimes 100 times more because you didn't let the doctor-patient relationship play out. And that's what I'm trying to get through to managed care leaders, that they got to involve doctors more in this. And doctors need to step up to the plate and say, no, we're not going to just roll over. Yeah. We have to help you do what it do.
That's right. Ain't that what I said? Let it do what it do. Well, so let me see though. So Tan also said decrease stress, then improve diet, in that order.
Correct. I'm a firm believer in that, because the diet can help you with the stress later. So you have to go in hard on what those stressors are.
Yeah. And you know what I find is also the stress lets your resolve go down in terms of, I'm not going to eat this, and this. When the stress rises, the appetite rises. And it isn't about the appetite for the hunger appetite. It's the filling the void appetite rises. And so you're eating things to replace the thing that is missing, or to mask the stress. And so if we decrease the stress, we can improve the diet then, because we have the amygdala has calmed itself down. And this right here, this prefrontal cortex and that lobe that I tell y'all about all the time, can go back in action, because the two don't work together. They don't play well together at all. And so, Tan, I'm so glad you asked that question. That's a really good one. Now let's see what they're saying here. Let's see who said that. I think, there it goes. My hubby said, great talk. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, baby. Now, I mentioned Dr. Anita Phillips, and my producer put this in here. Dr. Anita Phillips, New York Times bestselling author of The Garden Within, is a trauma therapist, life coach, and minister, widely recognized as a thought leader, the intersection of mental health, faith, and culture. And that's her website. And on her website, I'm sure, is the podcast In the Light, I think is the name of her podcast. It just came to me. But she talks about that study that I was saying about the mice and epigenetics piece that is so prevalent there. We got to have you back, because we're getting near the end, but I do want to really quickly ask, hey, Trish, thank you. She said, great topic. And Tan said, thank you for this. So often physicians don't acknowledge the mind-body connection. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Doc, we're going to take a quick turn over. It's definitely Men's Health Month, and all of the things that we've been talking about, of course, apply to our brothers. And how do we as women get our men to the doctor? Because, short of knocking them out real Dragon like an old day. I don't know. What you got? What you got?
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. No, but here's what I tell all my ladies that come in with their significant others, is that you ladies have more power than we do. And I say that, because it's the God's honest truth, and it comes from an African ethos that I learned years ago. The persuasion that you have, the way you come at us, is highly important. I understand what our sisters have been through, and some of us brothers have put y'all through that. But at the same time, we want to be viewed as men. And society doesn't want us to be viewed as men. I got a white coat on, and people.
You gotta come back. You gotta come back. I can see it.
I'm just saying. So it's all in the approach. And I tell wives this all the time, that it's in your approach to getting us here. If it's done lovingly, if it's done with concern, not, boy, you better get yourself over to the doctor because we want to be men. We are men. We are men. And we want our women to look at us as men, right? Society doesn't. So we want our sisters to do that. And y'all are very strong, and we respect that and love that and cherish that, because that's the mother of the motherland that's just brought over with you. So we respect it. But at the same time, we want to be kings too.
Ooh,
we want to feel like we are. We want to feel like we are respected, admired, and wanted.
Thank you so
and
much.
A lot of men don't say that. We want to be wanted just like y'all do. You know
what, Doc? I sit in rooms with women who have been through the ringer. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And I talk to them about that, and they mad as hell and don't want to take it no more. But the problem is that just doesn't work for what you say you want. Right. And, there's a lot of talk going on right now about the soft girl era. I cannot tell y'all the power in the soft girl, the soft woman, the soft touch. You can get whatever you need and want for yourself and for your man with a little softness, ladies. So that's a whole nother Oprah Rutler. But we got a couple more people that want to chat, and there's something else that I want to talk to the good doctor about, but that's a whole, we got to do this again. So listen, Doc, Bobby D. So the other thing that I was going to say is this is also Black Music Month. And we were talking off air about musicians and about the way that they work and how it's so important for them to take care of their health. And this is my dear, dear, dear longtime friend who has my heart, Bobby Douglas, musician extraordinaire. Let's see, Merry-Go-Round. Y'all know that was his song, and tons of other things. So Bobby D says, is there any validity in using oral frequency therapy to reduce stress overnight while sleeping?
Yes. The answer is absolute 100% yes. There are studies on that. Actually, I can't quote them right now because I'm removed from residency in medical school. But we studied that there is a propensity to better sleep when you're using certain frequencies. Now, and just music in general, not necessarily while you're sleeping, but certain frequencies of music actually get to the soul of the individual. The soul meaning the mental space, but it also that resonates with the physical space as well, because we're all based on the rhythms of the world, the rhythms of the earth, the rhythms of the trees and all of that kind of stuff. And I can get into all of that, but this is absolutely true.
I love it.
And you gotta get the right frequencies though. You gotta get the right frequencies, because some of the frequencies are not. They're very they're very gruff. They're very, it does the opposite. So it has to be something,
Designed for that.
Designed for that, correct. You know, one of the things, and I'm going to rag on my father a little bit. He is a PhD in music, and one of the things he taught us, my brother and I, is the appreciation for different kinds of music. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is that music can make you feel a certain way. He was doing this study years ago, looking at the likes of Miles Davis and how his health actually started to affect the music that he would produce and all that kind of thing. So there is an absolute connection between music and what happens health-wise, and vice versa, health-wise and what music, you know, how you actually appreciate different music genres.
Yeah.
You know, it's intertwined into us. We are spiritual creatures, and we cannot forget that.
That's
we
right.
Cannot forget that. And I think all of this technology makes us forget that.
Well, the word on the street, Doc, is bring him back. Please bring him back. So we are going to do that. We are definitely going to do that. Let's see what Tan says. When we are all we have. Absolutely. We must remember we are on the same team.
That's right.
Absolutely. Beautifully done. Bobby's got us a link. TED Talk Women's 2016. Tell me more, Bobby. What is that? And then he said an app called Better Sleep is amazing. Okay. We love to hear about that. Well, I'll tell y'all what, right now I'm going to put up Dr. Anthony's information, how you can connect with him. Click on those links right quick, but save this chat so that you can come back and get to him after this. You can go back and review this show to get some more of the things that you might have missed out on or need more of. But whatever you do, please follow him on Instagram at KCare IPA, YouTube, KCare at KCare IPA, LinkedIn. All of it is there, y'all. Get it and get with it. And the good doctor will be back. I promise. We will have him back again. So, Doc, I'm going to give you, now this is going to be a challenge. You have 10 seconds.
What?
10 seconds. Give us one nugget you want to leave the boss talkers with. 10 seconds. I'm timing you.
One nugget is know yourself and your reaction to things, and know all of your numbers when you go to the doctor. Ask those questions and find out what those numbers mean so that you can apply things to your own life based on those numbers and an overall feeling of wellness. That's the most important thing you could do.
I love that. So again, connect with Dr. Anthony there, y'all. And Bobby D, 4-7-8 breathing. If you're having trouble sleeping, all of you out there, breathe in for 4, hold for 7, exhale through the mouth for 8. Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, exhale on the exhale on the 8. All right, y'all. So try that. And Bobby said that the lesson that we learned from the TED Talk Women's 2016 is that the future of man is woman. Ooh,
amen.
I like that. And I'm going to leave it right there, y'all. I'm going to leave it right
as you should.
there. I love it all. So, y'all, this has been Boss Talk LA. That's bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. And that's each and every one of you. Please connect with me. It's all right there. If you need coaching, if you need therapy, if you need low-cost coaching, if you want to just holler at your girl, do that too. We'll be back next week. In the meantime and in between time, Doc, let's jam it out.
All right.
Peace, y'all.